So this is the traveling from Utah Beach to Cherbourg. Utah Beach was added to the Normandy invasion on December 31st, 1943 by Generals Eisenhower and Montgomery to secure a beach on the Cotentin Peninsula where the deepwater port city of Cherbourg was located, to the northwest of the landing zones, which is just down that. The 101st and 82nd were added to assist the rest of the 7th Corps from behind enemy lines. Taking a deepwater port was to provide the Allies various ways to sustain the war effort in France beyond the breakout until the end of 1944. The Cherbourg harbor was deep enough to allow larger crafts to dock and resupply ground forces. Taking Cherbourg was also necessary for Operation Pluto, a plan to build a gasoline pipeline from England to France to fuel Allied equipment. This strategy was inspired by previous failures. On August 19, 1942, an Allied force of American, British, Canadian, Polish, and French infantry and air forces conducted an attack on the northern coast of France in the Nazi-occupied port of Dieppe. Known as Operation Jubilee, the raid started at 0500 but ended at 1050. Of the 6,089 Allied soldiers sent, 3,369 were killed, captured, or wounded, an astounding 68% casualty rate. A year or so later, while in the planning of the Normandy invasion, the lessons learned on Dieppe encouraged an attack on an extended beachhead, not so much in a direct attack on a port, as referred to in Operation Sledgehammer in 1942. From these lessons learned, the U.S. 5 Corps were successful on Omaha, Juno, Gold, and Sword. However, the 4th Division, with the airborne, experienced far fewer casualties on Utah, 197 on D-Day, compared to the 6,000 in the other 4 beaches. The primary reason for this success on Utah was the fact that the LCVP, or Higgins boats, of the 4th Infantry actually landed 2,300 yards south of where the intended landing area is, so way down there. This is a result of the strong channel currents. It was Brigadier General Theodore Roosevelt Jr. that exclaimed, "We'll start the war from here." This mistake allowed them to secure the beach exits from the flank and be less vulnerable to the German defenses. The battle on the Cotentin Peninsula extended from the D-Day landings to the capture of Cherbourg on June 26, 1944. After storming the beaches, the Allies focused on pushing the Germans back from the sea. Capturing St. Mary-Glees on June 26, Carrington, the link between Utah and Omaha, then Hitler's last line, Boulogne, and lastly Cherbourg. Nearly a month long, the battles of Cotentin was the overall victory, but came at a large cost. 22,119 7th Corps casualties, 2,811 of those were KIA, according to the U.S. Army records at that time. With the Germans' backs to the English Channel and Cherbourg surrounded by the 25th, a naval bombardment began to support the ground forces and destroy German coastal batteries. Meanwhile, the Germans continued to destroy their own facilities in the port and lay a network of mines in the harbor. Hitler directed his commanders with, "It is your duty to defend the last bunker and leave to the enemy not a harbor, but a field of ruins." He later awarded the Knight's Cross to an admiral the day after his capture by the 7th Corps troops for his destruction. Immediately after Cherbourg was liberated and secured by Allied forces, the 1056th Engineering Group had been sent to rebuild the port as soon as possible to permit the resupplying. Steel beams and other resources were discovered in the rubble of the German self-destruction and were used to build makeshift bridges. The commander of the 1056th stated that, "We had enough of these to bridge from the piles, that we drove back to the sea wall." After weeks of work unloading ships, carrying supplies that were desperately needed to continue the push into France, which began on July 16th within the port, and the docking of the first Liberty ship occurred on August 9, 1944. Further on, in 1947, an American-made Liberty ship was given to the French people and renamed Cherbourg in honor of the liberation of this critical port. Good job. Private William John Otto Bremer wasn't like most soldiers. He never planned on being in the military. He never even thought he'd have to be. All Private Bremer ever truly cared about was being home with his beloved family and friends. But even as he felt he was taken away from the one thing he only loved, Private Bremer answered the call of duty with the understanding that he must serve to protect what he cared for most. This story has become a model for myself and my own aspirations for the United States military. Private Bremer, from the days of his childhood, was put into difficult situations to overcome. When he was just 6 years old, his sister Marie and mother Sophia passed away. The family was broken up, separated, with Private Bremer sent away to live with the relatives of his father Charles. When Private Bremer was a teenager, he attended Cretan High School, a prestigious Catholic boarding school and military academy. Private Bremer was a member of the school's debate team and student council until his junior year in 1930. Although he claimed he graduated high school, it was at this time he decided to quit school to live with his sister Henrietta and get financial support amidst the Great Depression. Will Bremer persevered. In his 20s and 30s, Private Bremer became somewhat of a wild card. He liked to dress like a gangster, enjoyed drinking, and occasionally cheated in games of cribbage to earn extra money amongst his pals. His marked deck that would help him cheat would travel with him to England. He even had a small run-in with the law that would prevent him from being drafted until 1943. But in 1938, Bill's life found a new focus: his beloved wife, Norma. Bill reported to Fort Snelling in September of 1943 with mixed emotions. He was determined to excel, but delusioned by the war effort that took him away from his wife. In letters exchanged with those back home nearly every day despite his duties, his anxiousness to return home to her was clear. He would say later, "You'll never be able to realize how welcome those letters are. I see now what is meant by the expression, as welcome as a letter from home." The Bremers persevered. Sent to Camp Fannin, Texas, for basic training at the Infantry Replacement Training Center with the 14th Training Regiment in October, Private Bremer earned many leadership roles. In his letters to his wife Norma, he spoke of his favorite things to do, particularly spending time on the shooting ranges. He was always at the top of the list for the best shooters no matter the range. And he always took the best care of his M1 carbine rifle. So much so, he was even asked to loan it out to many officers in his regiment and was given the job of training newcomers of a wide range of rank how to shoot. He was given the title of squad leader and acting corporal. For Private Bremer questioned the righteousness of the war's efforts and sacrifices and missed home terribly. Private Bremer persevered. In the second week of March 1944, Bill's spirits were lifted. He returned home for 8 days before embarking for the East Coast, Fort George G. Meade in Maryland, his final training before going overseas. After writing home for months about how much he wanted to see Norma, it was the break he needed to continue doing his duty effectively. On April 20th, 1944, he wrote from southern England, having been assigned to A Company, 1st Battalion, 8th Infantry Regiment of the 4th Infantry Division. Bremer told his wife, "It is funny what a person can put up with as long as there is something to look forward to in the future. I'll always have you and home still ahead of me. I have spirit and faith in that future." As the spring of 1944 progressed and the plans for the invasion of Normandy emerged, Private Bremer continued his training and prepared for whatever role he would be asked to fill in the Battle of Normandy. Private Bremer would be called upon in mid-June as a replacement, sent in to aid the 8th Infantry Regiment, who had lost 152 men since D-Day, according to its periodic reports. When the 4th Infantry Division made its drive northwest to Cherbourg, a port city critical of the resupplying the Allies and continuing the push into France, Private Bremer believed once again that he would persevere. On the 24th of June, 1944, as Allied forces pushed closer to WWII, they were met with a heavy and deadly defense from the Germans. The Germans were able to hold a strong front against the Allies, preventing the 8th Infantry Regiment's advance. Colonel James S. Rodwell, commander of the 8th Infantry, explained in his after-action report the following. The average 8th Infantry foot soldier, when he peered out of his foxhole, his disgust was profound. His body revolted at the thought of the increasing pace of the campaign and tenacity of the enemy. His mind was sick at the sight and smell of blood and death mingled on the damp earth about him. Yet his fighting spirit and sense of duty drove him on. Despite the men around him being killed, and likely witnessing the death of his battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Conrad Simmons, to artillery fire, Private Bremer persevered. On the 25th of June, 1944, small groups of men were sent out to the borders of Cherbourg in an attempt to identify any German pockets of resistance. Although no German occupation was reported, and as the action in the Battle of Cherbourg had been largely finished for the 8th Regiment, Private Bremer and 4 other men were reported missing. Private Bremer was found with a bullet wound to the back the next day. Letters from Norman's parents continued to ask for his well-being, but it wasn't until late July that Norma would discover her husband was missing in action. On August 15, 1944, Norma's 29th birthday, the news reached Minnesota that Private Bremer had made the ultimate sacrifice. She was broken, and condolences from friends and relatives and the personal reflections of Norma, however, illustrated how Bill's legacy would persevere. Private William John Otto Bremer, your story has permitted us to put to rest the years of anguish your wife felt many decades ago, and the shadow you left on their lives for 60 years. Reading the words within your 190 letters your family has provided to us to help us understand who you really were and to help us better tell your story. It has brought her family and mine together. It has encouraged the 30 or so of us to come together on these hallowed grounds. For the rest of your life, I will wear your dog tags and your memorial bracelet so that you will never again be forgotten. That is a promise, my friend. And in the words of your last letter to Norma, good night for now.